Roger, it's been a great week in Skoolaborate. Would you like to share with me some of your thoughts on this week?
I think the big thing for the children, and it's all about the children, is that they had an opportunity to do and see something that they would not normally have had the opportunity to do. They will have seen, many of them have Nintendo or DS, Game Boys or whatever, and they will have seen it from a user point of view, and now they will have seen how they're actually designed, all those games, and have a better understanding of just what it is, what goes into building those games by the web designer and developers of them, and to know that they can actually do that.
What did you think about the quality of their work? I mean, they designed avatars and they worked in the environment. How did you see their level of expertise in the area?
Yeah, that was really good. The students have a level of dexterity. I mean, they weren't using tablets or the Wacom tablets or whatever. They were using mice, which is always tricky to do design work with. And there's a level of talent that the students have, which is special, I think, to the NPA, and a level of dexterity and a level of visual awareness that the students bring to the whole task, and then they have a great deal of self-confidence, and to be able to be doing that. There wasn't a whole lot of numeracy or literacy in what they were doing this week, and so consequently they could feel completely relaxed and comfortable about what they were doing. The storylines that they were doing, Pauline and I were talking about this last night in the car, and I was saying, well, is there a whole lot of indigeneity, if you like, going into these stories? And of the 14 participants, I think she said about 4 or 5 had stories that were coming from that background, as opposed to a comic book from, say, a Marvel comic book background, or coming from a manga anime background. And so that brought to the whole week something special, I think, something unique to these students. The way there's certain memes that the students use all the time. For the boys, it's horses and four-wheel drive vehicles, and for the girls, it's definitely some of these pictures that were reflected in the storylines that they had. Yeah,
they were certainly culturally rich, and I agree with you. It was great to see that cultural context. And if you look over the whole week, Roger, what would you actually say the highlights of the week were?
As a teacher here, it's so common to get a lot of clock watching going on, even if you're not conscious of it, that at 5 minutes before a lunchtime or 10 minutes before a change of period, the students will be starting to pack up, and you can just detect this sort of feeling of movement as the students disengage from what you're trying to get them to do, and they start trying to, getting out their mobile phones and trying to initiate social contact outside the classroom. And that just wasn't there. There was nothing like that, and at times the students had to be reminded to go to lunch. That level of engagement just is so rare at this college, at this age group. For the little kids it's different, but for the years 10 to 12 group, we just that's just so rare to see it. Very seldom do you see that.
It's a great outcome, that total engagement. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And that whole flow happening, where the students, I remember on the first day even, the bell went and we were sort of suggesting that maybe they go home, and they're saying, oh, the day's over already. And I think they had felt like they'd only had a couple of hours at school that day, whereas it had been the full 5 hours with some skip breaks for some of them. Yeah, so that whole feeling of engagement and flow. I sometimes think with the students that they aren't comfortable with that feeling of total engagement. It just seems to me that at times the students avoid that. They're a little bit scared of that. And
but that certainly wasn't the case this week.
Wasn't the case this week at all.
I was amazed how many times you could almost hear a pin drop during the week. It was so intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were so into what they were doing.
Yeah, and the way that the students were really, here it is, what was it, 3 o'clock on a Friday, and they were still, even though they had the opportunity, perhaps if they finished early, to go and join the sport program or whatever, they were still wanting to stay back and finish that one cell that they weren't happy with, or go back and do something, or change the colour in something, and were so involved with it. And that's another thing with our students, is that so often they do things because they're requested to do them, and a one-time effort is all that they want to put into it. To actually want produced to the level that they want to produce at is very unusual for these students. So often it's, okay, I'll do it one time, we'll get it out of the way, it doesn't matter what the answer is, doesn't matter what the product is, finish it one time and go.
It was very personalised. I found that each and every student had a very personalised signature to their artwork, and that was impressive. I actually think there might be a few graphic artists in the mix, Roger.
I think so, yeah. And it was 14 girls. There are 2 or 3 boys that are out there. It's just unfortunate their attendance isn't so good, but they also have that eye for things where they would have fitted in really well to do this kind of work, and really absorbed it and taken it on. So there's opportunities for next time, I think, for those boys. But yeah, there are some excellent artists, and would like to see more of their artwork up around the place, and murals, and perhaps some other media, perhaps, around the place, websites, whatever.
I think that's great. Well, let's hope that this is a point of where we can actually start that whole
sure.
culture of visual arts and showcase it. It's great that NPAC will showcase it globally, that this is a trial, and as I said before, when the community was here, everyone else was going to have to step up, because the quality of work from this week was just so good.
Yeah, and it just shows these students are capable.
Thanks, Roger, that's great.